it is picture perfect. Let's do it live on a Football Friday edition. Merely Bo, the great Z, Titans here Sunday. Look at this weather. What a weekend for football. Nice, perfect light hoodie out of you.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
it is
boy.
nice.
Look at that sheen.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
Soak it in. Nice blue.
Jeez.
Oh, because it's an up blue, because we're up.
It's an up blue.
We're up. We're not down anymore. We're up.
Got to be.
All the way up.
Got to be all the way up, my friend. Yeah, this is a monster. When you were doing, if you play the schedule game, which I think we all do, you get the schedule, you say, all right, where are the wins and losses? And you looked at these first 4 games and you said to yourself, minimum requirement is 2-2, absolute minimum requirement. And one of the 2 that you were going to win at the time when the schedule came out was this one. You could argue one way or another with Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati. Didn't know about the Burrow injury at the time. So all of those things are factors, but this was one that's a dub.
Yeah, and I think when you initially played schedule game, you said you'd love to go 2-1 in the division.
Yeah.
And that can get you to 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, worst case scenario, 2-2 as you pointed out. But, I think a lot of people thought maybe the first 2 you were hoping to come out with a split, right? At Pittsburgh Monday Night Football where they never lose, and then the Bengals. And I think it's just the way that it happened that you feel disappointed with being 1-1. But, yeah, this is one that you've got to have. You are the better football team. You are better where it matters all across the field. And so you've got to, similar to last week, take care of your business. Don't turn the football over 4 times. Don't turn the football over, quite frankly, at all. When you under Kevin Stefanski, when we haven't turned it over at all, we're 13-2. I don't know about you, but 13-2 sounds formidable. If we were 13-2 after
nice.
15 games, we'd be like, oh baby, yeah, boy, they would call this Chesty Browns Daily.
Really chesty.
Yeah, that's what they would call the show. Yeah, this is one that you got to win. You're at home. This is a team that's lost 8 of its last 9 games dating back to last year. The Titans, their struggles are well documented, and you need to be able to beat them. We are more talented than they are. This is not an incredibly talented team.
No, and there's a ton of variables, and obviously this week has been a testy one because of the result of Monday, because of the injury to Nick Chubb, and because of everything that's followed. But this if ever there is a get right pass offense game, this ought to be it. You should be able to spin the ball up and down the field. The weather is going to be flawless. This is a bad secondary for Tennessee. You are fully healthy in that group. We're a better pass blocking group than we are a run blocking group.
Correct.
Neither is where you'd want to be at this point. We expect more out of the offensive line play than we've gotten, but we are better pass protecting than we are run blocking at this point. So all of those boxes are there to be checked. And it's just a matter of it looking right for your quarterback and for it looking right with the rhythm between the quarterback and the play calling.
100%. And that's what this game is going to be about. Our offensive identity has to switch naturally. You're still going to run the ball. You're still going to have, Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, Pierre Strong running the football. But you are going for sure to put the game in the hands of your quarterback. And that's why he was brought here. That's why he's being paid nearly $250 million in guaranteed money, because they believe that he can be that guy. And so this is the time for him to step it up and have one of those games, because this is a bad pass defense. It's pass defense giving up 610 yards to 2 quarterbacks, 3 touchdowns, only 1 pick. A high completion percentage, all of it. This is a bad pass defense. It was the worst in the NFL a year ago. It's near the bottom again this year, where we've got to go out there and we've got to get the job done. And our quarterback's got to play at a high level. And I think if he does that, we will win this game. Now, defensively, we're not quite at full strength. Greg Newsome will not play. He's been officially ruled out with his elbow injury. That means Cam Mitchell, his teammate at Northwestern, a good friend, is going to get the start at the nickel. Now, they don't have, that dominant slot receiver. They'll line up DeAndre Hopkins inside, but we don't even know his status yet.
Yeah, so he popped up on it, limited yesterday with an ankle
whenever you go
injury.
down over the course of a week, not really good. Now, if he bounces back to a full today or a limited today, then he's probably going to be able to go and figure it out. But it's a big game. It is a big, big game.
Let's talk about the Newsome injury. What is the feeling of? I mean, this was something we found out today about it. Obviously, he'd been out all week, but is this something that is long lasting? Is this something that is, let's take a week and see how this goes
for Greg?
Yeah.
The feeling is that it is not a long-term injury. they think that there's a very good chance that he will be ready to go for Week 4 against the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay. All right. So that's where you stand on that. In terms of Tennessee, from an injury front, DeAndre Hopkins limited yesterday. I mentioned that with the ankle injury after being a full on Wednesday, and then first-round pick Peter Skoronski has yet to practice this week. So that would lead you to believe that he would not be playing in the game as well. There is a stretch of time between the second week of September and the third week of October where you get picture-perfect conditions.
Yep.
This is kind of it. Like, it's pretty humid through August and then early September. And, I mean, my God, we had a rain out on the first game of the season. So who knows what's going to happen down there on that lake. But the forecast is looking like it should be flawless on Sunday. This is a get right in every single way. And let's hope that we have a very fun Sunday afternoon down on the lake. In terms of the scores, they remain perfect. You're welcome. I don't know.
I mean, we
couldn't
couldn't have given you last night.
I think is what we said.
By a billion. G-Men Thursday. Oppo. That was a
So
layup
easy.
block. The Niners are really, really good.
All right, let's talk about them for a second.
They're really good.
Yeah. So you watched the Seinfeld, right? You remember
I watched Seinfeld.
Do you remember you're familiar with that show?
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't familiar, it's a story of a comedian and then his circle of friends in New York City. The comedian is a guy named Jerry Seinfeld. One of the co-creators and head writers of it is a guy maybe a guy named Larry David. The character of George on the show was based off of Larry David. So I think that sets up a little bit, just in case you weren't familiar with the program. There is an episode where Jerry talks about that he's even Steven. Right, he loses $20. He'll find $20 somewhere else. Like, it's just the way his life is. Like, it always turns up even for him.
Yep.
It's kind of even Steven for Kyle and the Niners in that they gave up a ton to get a franchise quarterback, and they stumbled into one with the very last pick in the draft.
Unreal.
Now, the crazy thing about Purdy is there was a stat last night. He hit the 27-yard touchdown pass down the right side, and they threw the stat up, and they said that's his longest air-traveled throw of his career was 27 yards in the air.
That was caught.
That was caught. Yeah. That was the longest, which is...
Doesn't even matter.
No, I know, but it's like they are doing it in a way that nobody else can.
Yep.
And it's, Kyle's offensive genius, and because Purdy, they're paying him a bucket of balls, they can pay everybody else.
That's how you're able to bring in Javon Hargrave on the defensive line. You can have Debo and Ayuk and McCaffrey and Kittle and Trent Williams and all the stars that they've got. Fred Warner, Bosa.
They got
Armstead, all of them.
You do like top 100 players in the NFL. They got like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really good. And that, hopefully that would be a great one to be coming off the bye at 3-1. That would be I feel like that would be a big time test. But a lot of work to be done to get there. But yeah, the Niners are fun to watch. Those uniforms are beautiful. McCaffrey, they have not lost a game that McCaffrey has started for them since they traded for him. Not lost a single game. Like, that's crazy to me. Other than he must have started, or was he played in the NFC Championship? He had to have.
Well, yeah, but then they didn't have the quarterback.
They have the quarterback.
Yeah.
He and Purdy together have not lost. Never lost.
Never lost.
Yeah, they're really good on every level. They are. They're good. Yeah. And it's crazy to me is he does what Garoppolo did, and it must be the way they drop and then stand like complete statues, like completely flat-footed.
Well, that's the Brady.
And then he throws that little.
Yeah, that's Brady did that.
Yeah, but I
feel like he was
took
it from
bouncy a little bit.
No, remember in New England he would stop.
Yeah,
and just flat-footed because Hoyer did that. Anybody who was around Brady, they all mimic that. Just come calm, and then rip it, and let it go. What was I was looking up. I just was curious. What was the trade? What was the McCaffrey? Oh my God! So then the first thing I click on is one of those sites. It's got 1,000 pop-ups. Like
what they traded.
I just want to know what the details.
What they gave
were.
up for McCaffrey.
So for 2023, second, third, and fourth, and a 24 fifth is what they gave up for McCaffrey.
And then paid him a lot of money.
Yeah, and they were able to do so because they're not paying their quarterback. The thing that is remarkable about McCaffrey is, like, other than Terrell Davis in Denver, when. It's not often that these type of offenses have this type of running back.
Right.
When they do, it's a whole nother level. It's not required. Like, they get to the Super Bowl without him, but all of a sudden you get one, it's another level. It really is.
The three best running backs that they've ever had in this style of an offense from the Shanahan tree, like using that last name, obviously because Nick Chubb would be Dalvin Cook in Minnesota, was when it was Terrell Davis. You got nice years from Mike Anderson, but
yeah,
Terrell
but
Davis,
he wasn't like a gold jacket type guy.
Clinton Portis.
Yeah, he had that.
He had that. Electric in that offense.
He had that.
And then now Christian McCaffrey. Wild, very productive. Arian Foster, his few years is gold jackety, but it's only a few years.
There are these little windows of guys, but like it's just usually it's not required that you have one of those cats.
Portis was picked to be
that guy.
A star.
McCaffrey
was drafted
to be a star, and they were. But them and the Cowboys. Them Cowboys and the Eagles. They're the three most complete teams right now in the NFL, and the Eagles are the slowest out of the gates of the three. Just it doesn't look right offensively yet for them.
They've got some issues they've been injured on the back end.
Yeah, but they're going to be fine, obviously. But that top of the NFC is for real.
It's very good. It is hard to believe we were just talking about Clinton Portis.
Yeah,
that there was a time in this league, where Clinton Portis was traded straight up 1-for-1 for Champ Bailey.
When you mentioned his name, that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, and that would never happen today.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where the trade kind of worked for both.
Everybody.
Because then Portis goes to Washington. They had a lot of success with him, and then Champ Bailey validates the gold jacket in Denver.
100%.
But yes, 1-for-1 franchise corner for franchise tailback.
Never happened today.
No way. That's just not in the same vicinity. It's just how much the sport has changed.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, from a running back perspective, and Nick was that for us, obviously, but like the McCaffreys, the Ecklers, there are guys who transcend the positional value.
Totally.
And those guys I think you're going to find a way to compensate those guys. The thing with McCaffrey was he was available, the running back position, but also because he's always been nicked up.
Mm-hmm.
So like you probably got him at discount a little bit because he was banged up.
Healthy.
And honestly, there's not that many teams who could do it because everybody's paying a quarterback.
Right. It's unreal how the Niners completely whiffed on a trade that cost them multiple first-round picks.
3?
Yeah.
3 ones.
They got one back, which was Lance. So it was really like
two
free ones.
Yeah.
One which was used to get Tyreek Hill, and the other which was used to get Bradley Chubb.
Oh, that's right. They could have just stayed where they were
and added Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb.
Where were they picking that draft? Like 5th or 6th?
Yeah.
So now that you read back on it, I was reading back on it this week because we always had the Justin Fields conversation, and knowing what we know now about Fields, I think it's pretty obvious why Kyle did not want him, because he doesn't want someone who doesn't process as quickly. He doesn't want someone that doesn't want to play with his back to the football field.
Yeah, doesn't play in structure.
Yeah, he wants somebody in structure. So it's very likely that all that Mac Jones stuff was real, that was the type of guy that he wanted, that he coveted Mac Jones all along. And the crazy thing is he could have just taken him. And he could have had Tyreek Hill, and he could have had Bradley Chubb on that in that operation.
You have to wonder at some point if Kyle's time with RG3 and how electric that was in such a short period of time made him want to have that in addition to it all. And he thought Trey Lance could give him all of it. Whereas Mac Jones, you're hoping that he becomes Kirk Cousins, right, in this offense. But the irony is that's what Brock Purdy is. That's what Garoppolo was. That's what he's had, Matt Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's had the most success with.
Yep.
It's interesting thinking back. He's probably saying, well, if I can get that plus, then we can be completely unstoppable. Like in Washington, where guys are running 80 yards open. Alfred Morris leads the league in rushing as a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was looking for, and that's what he thought maybe he had in Lance. And obviously it did not work out, and he's now the backup in Dallas. But they are a good football team. They are an unbelievable front. Danny Dimes against the Cowboys and the Niners was under pressure in those 2 games, over 50% of his dropbacks. You cannot play quarterback in the NFL with that being true. It's impossible. So I know Andrew Thomas was out.
They were out down 2 tackles last night, right? And no Saquon.
Dreadful. But against the Cardinals, where they actually were able to kind of match up because the Cardinals don't necessarily have any frontline talent, he was fine.
Yeah.
He was actually good in that comeback win over the Cardinals. But if you can't protect in this league, you can't play offense, and that's what makes our defense effective. Now, this is a Tennessee Titans team that they can be very effective, but one of the stats I came across, which is wild. So through last week, their previous 17 games, including last week, the Titans have been the best run defense in NFL history over any 17-game stretch.
Really?
64.6 yards per game, 2.9 yards per carry. Now, they have a significantly losing record in that stretch because ultimately that's not
what matters.
That's
most.
not what matters.
Yeah.
Because that's how the game has changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. All right, we'll continue to get you set for our game against the Titans on Sunday. Lots of fun along the way. Your over-unders, your scores will go around the league behind enemy lines in the 2 o'clock hour with Teresa Walker of the AP. Load it up. Keys to victory?
Something to ponder as we go to
Give it to
break.
me.
From
Give it to me. I got
Jade.
my
Jade
pen.
just tweeted us, guys, I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but Nathan Zagura and Bo Bishop are my Jerry and George.
Which one's George?
That's the question. That's the question.
I think it's got to be me, right? I got to be the
You're not-
George, but
you're-
I don't know.
I don't think you're George.
Well, I don't think either one of us fit either of the personalities
No, but-
Correct.
at all. Yeah, I don't. But I think what she's probably just referring to is that we're buddies.
buddies. Yeah.
Yeah, we're buddies, who she enjoys listening to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
enjoy listening to you.
her.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Her new
by the
hold
way, yeah, give it the drop.
Yeah, and we got to pull.
And by the way, like Jade's absurdly talented. The throwback videos.
are unreal.
What are we talking about? I
Yeah.
mean, that stuff was unbelievable this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah,
Good job
no
out of
doubt.
you.
Yeah, Jade's
Superstar.
Her new song is out of sight. It is called the brand new single from Jade McCrae.
Yeah.
And it is. She brings it, and there's no doubt about it.
Yep,
No doubt.
she's throwing 102.
Yeah.
It has been for a while. All right, we go around the league coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk and Elk, serious lawyers, serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Browns and Titans set for Sunday. Of a generation, Gibby, you would be of this generation. This was one of the most aesthetically pleasing uniform matchups you'll find. When the Browns would play at home here and the Oilers would come in the baby blues. Yeah. This
Absolutely.
was it. Isn't that the Kozar picture? Isn't it from him against the Oilers that used to be out here?
In the
snow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jerry Glanville back in the day.
Warren Moon, the run and shoot.
Yeah.
It was so – it didn't
AFC
make any
Central.
sense because it was Bengals, Steelers, Browns knocking the hell out of each other, and here comes Houston with like 4 wide and
Yeah.
God, who was their running back?
Oh, my God. It was I could have just said it before you.
Alonzo Highsmith.
Well, Zoe was there, but then they
Zoe?
had a Pickett. Was it a Pickett? They had a scat back who wore 20.
Is this when they had like Haywood Jeffries?
Yeah, and they would have like Drew Hill.
Drew Hill.
Was a receiver on that team.
Ernest Givens?
Yep, Givens. Those were the three. They had 4 receivers. It's crazy, but like when I'm trying to remember this roster, it's based entirely off of Super Tecmo Bowl.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
I want to say
what
there
year
was
is
a
it?
Pickett.
What year?
This would probably be like 89, 90 Houston Oilers. The other thing that's crazy is like in retrospect, you're talking about when you talked about the Oilers and you're talking about the difference stylistically of a pound physical teams that were up here and them down there. Geographically, it made no damn sense either.
No.
It's hard to imagine like geographically, the AFC was only Miami.
Mike Rozier.
Mike Rozier was in that.
It was Alonzo Highsmith led the team with 531 yards rushing. Second was Alan Pinkett. And they had Lorenzo White.
Out of Michigan State.
Yep, Lorenzo White. And then the receivers, we had it. Ernest Givens, Haywood Jeffries, Drew Hill.
There's a fourth.
Curtis
They would
Duncan.
line up
Duncan,
four.
yeah, because they
Curtis Duncan.
played 4.
Curtis Duncan.
Yeah. They were fun, man.
Yeah.
Those are fun games. I mean that's all changed now with the moving the divisions around. And
Their
such.
tight ends on the season, and Warren Moon threw for 3,600 yards, which in '89 was a good number. Had 7 catches for 76 yards.
What was that?
They're tight ends.
7. But they didn't bother.
No, didn't bother.
Clearly, yeah, no, they did not.
No.
It's
Glanville was
interesting.
saving seats for Elvis.
Just from a timeline standpoint, go ahead.
So then I just went to 90.
Yeah.
Warren Moon, 15 games.
Okay.
I'll give you a guess the stats on this one, Gibby. 15 games. The year is 1990. Warren Moon stats with the Houston Oilers.
Passing?
Yes.
I bet he threw for 4,000 yards.
62% completions, 4,689 yards, 33 touchdowns, 13 picks in 1990. Lorenzo White was the leading rusher that year, 702 yards, 8 touchdowns. Moon also ran for 215 and 2 scores. Givens had 979, made the Pro Bowl. Drew Hill had 1,019 and 5, made the Pro Bowl. Hayward Jeffries had the most catches, the most yards, and the most touchdowns. Didn't make the Pro Bowl.
No Pro Bowl.
74, 1,048, and 8, and he didn't make the Pro Bowl. And Duncan had 785. They had 4 wide receivers with more than 60 catches and 785 yards.
Jeez. It's interesting.
That's wild.
When you think about when the NFL, changed the divisional alignments and stuff, when you added the expansion teams, because all of this would have happened around the same time because these teams moved all at the same time. I wonder if there was ever any thought to taking Baltimore and putting them in the East, in the AFC East, putting Tennessee in the AFC North,
There had
and
to
having
be,
Miami go to the AFC South.
Yeah.
I mean, geographically,
Makes all the sense.
Miami would be in the same with Jacksonville. Be them, Jacksonville. Well, the Colts actually would probably be up here, quite honestly.
The
It'd probably
Colts should
the
be in
Colts.
ours.
Colts would be up here. It would be the Titans, Jaguars,
Dolphins.
Texans, and Dolphins.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the East would be, you just would put Baltimore in there with the Jets, the Bills.
Where would
The
Tennessee
Patriots
go?
and
Tennessee would stay south. Tennessee would still be in the south with Jacksonville, Miami, and Houston.
Tennessee,
And then
Jacksonville.
Indy would come here in the
Yep.
north.
Which makes all the sense in
Then
the world.
geographically, you're locked in.
Yeah.
They were protecting something there. Was it Miami that they were protecting, or was it the Baltimore? Like, why would they protect Baltimore? What difference
Because
would that make?
Baltimore, maybe because Baltimore was the Browns to keep them.
Sure, but like, it's
No,
going to a whole new city. What difference does it
No,
make?
that makes sense. Those 4 up there, those 4 down there, 4 in the middle, and then the 4
Yeah.
Mostly
Or do they
West.
just view the East as the East Coast? Like straight I'm assuming that's
I'm
Baltimore's
guessing.
on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. My guess is that that Miami said, no, we're not going to play. Like, we've been in this a long time. We are not going to play in a division with Jacksonville, and we've got rivalries with the Jets and the Patriots. Like, we're not giving those rivalries up. Dallas did that, because it was like, wait a second, this is not the NFC East. We're going to get Dallas and Arizona at the time. It was like, you're not having that. But Dallas was like, actually, we're going to still play these teams.
Yeah.
That's how that's going to go. So I'm guessing Miami stopped it. They're the only ones I think who would have the juice.
Yeah.
Because if you were going to redo it, the NFC South would probably stay exactly the same.
Yeah, because
Where would Dallas go though? Dallas is in
no man's land. So you would probably do. I guess what you could do is you could take like Atlanta and move them to the NFC East. Like geographically, that would make the most sense.
you still have,
and then you'd have.
but Carolina would be
Actually,
better.
it would be
Carolina is
Carolina.
farther
It'd be-
north. Yeah.
Carolina would go, and then it would be Atlanta, Dallas, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. So you can see how Dallas is like.
But who's coming out of the East? Because you have the Giants.
Dallas.
Right, Dallas would come out of the East, slide Carolina. Yeah, that makes the most sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See? Fixed.
That's how that would go. But like, there's no way Jera is giving
Jarrah's
up playing
saying,
Philly
no.
and Washington.
We're
going to
go play the
Giants.
Falcons and the Bucks and the Saints.
Not having
No.
it. Not having it. Speaking of the Cowboys, cornerback Trayvon Diggs tore his ACL at practice.
Brutal.
God, we've had catastrophic injuries with stars the first 2 weeks.
Brutal. Yes, we have.
This is another one like in a practice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How you tear an
brutal.
ACL in a practice
It's got to be
come down
non-contact.
in a Thursday?
Grant tore his Achilles right in front of us, jumping
true.
1 inch off the ground to catch a pass in a walking drill.
Yeah, as we say all the time, muscles can grow, ligaments cannot. They're pretty finite. So that crushes them. I mean, he's a huge part, obviously, of their defense, and what he is more than anything else, though, is like he is a turnover getter.
Yep.
He gives up plays, but he also gets you the ball from time to time.
Yes, he
Panthers
most certainly
rookie
does.
quarterback Bryce Young will not play in Carolina this week against Seattle, so it'll be Dalton. You're actually fine with that.
Dalton's out, and then Anthony. Both of those. So the rookies are out, and in are Dalton and Minshew.
Dalton and Minshew and Indy.
Yep.
So to me, it almost feels like Minshew will give them an equal to or better chance against Baltimore.
Agreed.
I don't think Dalton to me that's a wash with Bryce Young
Probably fair.
because they have no weapons.
No,
Frank Reich loves him for whatever reason, though.
because he's
Loves Dalton.
Yeah.
just
He's a
reliable
pro.
and does what he's doing.
He's a pro. You just don't want to be, when you're the backup, like just do your job, help the kid along. I think that the one thing to watch, both of these guys, Young and Richardson taking hits, and Bryce Young just being tiny. Can these guys stay upright over the course of a season? I that's very, very fascinating for me. Joe Burrow has not practiced this week, is considered day to day. I saw him hobbling over.
It doesn't look like he's playing, and they just made a move quickly to sign another quarterback to bring back Reed Sennett, who I guess is going to back up Jake Browning. I mean,
This is it, though. Like when you're paying the guy, you can't pay for quality backups anymore. I mean, we are long past the days of Montana, Young, Bono.
yeah, but Steve Bono was the third quarterback.
And then even when Steve Bono when he left, then they drafted Gerbach. So it was like they always had three guys, in San Francisco. Like we don't have that anymore. You think about even Kubiak backed up Elway for 15 years.
No, only teams that have solid
have that.
backups are teams that are starting rookies or second-year guys. Like Jacoby Brissett is behind, Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Tyler Heineke is behind Desmond Ritter. Gardner's behind this guy in Indy. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have that anymore.
No, and it's
Andy Dalton's behind Bryce Young.
and the reason for that is A, all your money's being allocated to the quarterback position.
Yep.
And then B, the thinking now that teams view is if you lose the quarterback, then the season's lost anyway. Like just push the chips in.
Yeah.
And understand that it's going to be a very, very different season. I think that also has a little bit to do with philosophically NFL teams have changed the way they view seasons. Used to be, 15, 20 years ago, or certainly back to the time we're talking about 30 years ago, like make the playoffs, have a winning record. Like those things mattered.
That's all that mattered.
That's all that mattered. It wasn't like you were relentlessly chasing a Super Bowl. You were just trying. Of course, you wanted one,
Sure.
but you were very satisfied if you could win the division, have a winning record, make the playoffs. Like that was a really important measuring stick. Now
100%.
it feels to me like most of the league is kind of like boom or bust. Like Let's either be contenders or be nothing. Like, we don't – the middle ground isn't chased the way that it used to be.
Like the entire run of Andy Dalton in Cincinnati, where they won the AFC North a bunch of times, never won a playoff game, but were perennially in the playoffs, all of that would be looked upon now as a failure. And, in fact, they had to get to the point where they were able to get Burrow to get back to relevancy.
100%. And, there were probably 10 teams like that in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, like the Tommy Kramer Vikings. Like, there were all these teams that were like good teams, had a lot of talent, but they were never doing anything of consequence.
Yep.
Jim Everett's Rams, like those teams, they were never going to beat the best ever.
No.
Anytime they got on the big stage, they got whipped.
Yep.
But they also kept them around because winning, Dave Craig Seahawks, like because winning and being competitive and
mattered.
It mattered. So that change, I think, is also reflected a little bit in all of that.
Before we go to break, I do have to ask you.
Yeah.
Is it the best weekend so far this season for college football?
It's not close.
There is a monster schedule tomorrow.
It's not
Give me
close.
the top 3 games.
If you wanted to tomorrow,
Give me the top 3 games.
If you were so inclined.
Can I give you what I think the top 3 games are without even knowing the schedule at all?
Yeah.
Dion, which I believe is Colorado, Oregon.
Yep.
That's a 3:30.
Ohio State, Notre Dame.
That is a 7:30.
And then those are my 3, which are actually only 2.
So if you wanted to, you could play it out this way to where, like, if you just love football and guys who are going to be pros and love college football, America's second most popular sport by a pretty wide margin, and one of 2 sports in this country that's either maintaining or growing its ratings television-wise.
Yeah, they're both
all the
footballs.
rest.
Football.
Falling off a cliff. Florida State plays at noon at Clemson. So you have
What are they ranked?
That in the noon
Big
window.
game for Will Scarlett.
FSU's 4.
Okay.
In the 3:30 window, it's a dual screen situation. You got Colorado at Oregon at 3:30, and you got Ole Miss at Bama at 3:30. So that's a good one. There's another ranked one at 3:30. UCLA and Utah is at 3:30 as well. Then you go to the 7 o'clock window. You got ranked versus ranked Oregon State at Washington State. You've got
How's the Pac-10 all of a sudden every team's good in the Pac-10 and they're just banning the league?
Hold, please. I'll tell you what happened. And then in the 7:30 window, you have Iowa, Penn State, and then obviously Ohio State and Notre Dame in the 7:30 window as well. So if you wanted
if you're
to,
the Big Ten to have both of those games.
so
going
they
on
chose
at the
to do it. So here's what happened. Not only did they choose to do it, CBS put their number 1 team on Penn State, Iowa versus Ole Miss, Alabama. Why, you ask?
Yes.
Because next year they're in business with the Big Ten. And so CBS is now going to try and boost the national relevancy of these
the
Big
Big
Ten programs the way that they did for 30 years in the SEC. It worked when they did it there. Now you have to have the talent to back it up. It was a perfect storm. But so if you're Big Ten, you win as big as possible because you're going to be on network television on 2 networks in prime time.
Yep.
You're going to own the night.
Yep.
So it's a home run. You're on NBC and you're on CBS across the country. Like, not regionally, across the country on a Saturday night. So that's a total home run. Pac-12 question. George Kliavkoff, the current commissioner of the Pac-12. He was betting on exactly this. He was betting on getting to this point where they have 6 or 7 first-round type quarterbacks in the league. That's not hyperbole. They do.
Yep.
They're unbelievable. Mike, here's your stat of the day, early season in college football. Michael Penix Jr., who's at Washington, who I had 3rd in the Heisman last year and finished 5th, they have the best pass offense in the country. He is averaging 11.6 yards a drop back.
Per attempt.
No. A drop back.
Wow.
Sacks included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. That's where he's at. So they've got all those cats. So he was betting on getting to this point where they had all this star power, all this quarterbacks. The reason the best bet busted is he did not see that the Big 12 would race to the market and get a television contract ahead of him. So once they did, those television dollars dried up. The economy changed in terms of what Disney and all these companies' operations are. And so that miscalculation cost the Pac-12 to the point where now it doesn't exist.
Whoever got the Big 12 contract would have much rather had given that money to the Pac-12.
That's ESPN.
If they were still in.
Yeah, but they were worried that they were. See, ESPN was fighting off front. They were fighting a battle on 5 fronts. They were trying to keep Fox at bay because Fox has said, boy, we want to be in the college football business. They're trying to keep CBS and NBC at bay because they want to be in the college football business. And they're trying to keep Google, Apple, Amazon. So they wanted to get things – they needed something locked up in writing.
So the Pac-12 should have just taken that deal.
They should have taken that deal. If they'd taken that deal, they still exist. They had the first right of refusal on it. Clay Evkoff says, we can do better. The next week, the Big 12 took the deal.
So
there was nowhere else for him to go.
If that happened in the U.S., all of that, everybody would still be in the Pac-12 if they had taken that deal? Oh, my God.
The whole Pac-12 would still
that
exist.
guy's
Colorado, all of it.
What's his name?
George Clay Evkoff.
He's the murderer of the Pac-12.
Well, it took two of them. Larry Scott was first. Larry Scott was spending $90 million a year on studio space in San Francisco for the Pac-12 network that was not on anywhere. It's crazy. Crazy. Yeah. Pac-12. Really, really mismanaged. There was a great story, just to put a ribbon on it. I don't want to get too far down in the weeds. I might be already. The other reason the deal didn't get done, there was an econ professor in one of the Pac-12 schools that apparently went to his president and said, don't take that deal from ESPN. That we're worth the deal was like $35 to $38 million a year. Went back and said, we think we're worth $50 million. So the Pac-12 president was like, we think we're worth 50. Don't take that deal. So Clay Evkoff doesn't take the deal. It contributed to them not taking the deal, and the rest is history. Real life, man. That's how you got there. Little over-unders coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Cleveland Browns, avocados from Purdue and Meyer want you to enter the Ultimate Football Sweepstakes for your chance to win a 2023 Ford Lightning electric pickup truck, a VIP tour of the Cross Country Mortgage Campus, or a $1,000 Meyer gift card. Visit your local Meyer or clevelandbrowns.com/avocados for more. Before we get to the over-unders, it's a pretty good daily double. You get your Saturday night Buckeyes and Irish into your 1 o'clock Brownies and Titans, boys. It's all in play from a tailgate perspective on Sunday. You could the whole thing. It's probably is this your best this week and next?
Next
are
week
the for sure best conditions, best all of it. Next 2 weeks.
Oh, you're gonna have a great time this weekend, and then next weekend I think you can tailgate with the Hoff.
Is he gonna be bouncing around?
He's gonna be bouncing around.
He's hosting something.
Yeah, he tweeted it out not too long ago. The Hoff did. He's hosting a big tailgate fiesta. There it is. Tailgate with Joe Thomas, October 1st, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Old school performance, giveaways, and games featured exhibit. Food and bar trucks open at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
One thing I would tell you, if you try to tailgate with the Hoff, do not try to keep up.
Don't. Keep a water close by.
Yeah.
The Hoff will take you to the woodshed.
Have we gotten an update on what happened with the carcass? The elk carcass? Did he get that clear?
Yellowstone was in
processed.
contact with him and said it took him like 8 trips.
Took 5 hours to get it out. With all the different trips back and forth, but it's been taken, processed, and ready to roll.
So it's being cut up into steaks as we.
Oh, yeah.
That's happening.
It's already done.
That's already done.
That was
it's
done, I think,
taken and shipped, and now it's back in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Did you see his video yesterday where
No.
there were 2 of them within like 10 feet of the guys on his Instagram?
I don't
You
have the
do
IG.
not want to.
2 of them.
You do not want to mess with that.
No way.
That's a
Well,
situation
it's their time of year too.
Oh, I know.
They're this is the mating season for the big elk. That's the way that goes. I got to see.
That's the one thing that's sad to me about the way that all goes down.
What do you mean? That they're about ready to have fun and then they're done?
Yeah, they're being lured. They're being lured. Yeah, exactly. That's a harsh.
That's a brutal when you put it that way.
harsh. Yeah.
You think, this is what I've been waiting for.
It's not like you're
been waiting all year for this.
Right. It's not like they've been lured to like.
No.
Here's like, we found some
Here's a
tasty
steak.
patch of grass for you or something. It's
no.
like
No.
you're about to get.
You're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
You've been waiting all year for this, boys.
And you're like, come in, like, let's go. And like, oh wait, this was a trap.
This is not. This is not the
trick.
brochure.
This is not good.
Like I've been growing these horns all year.
Right.
The velvet came off months ago, and it had been growing these horns all year. They're at their apex.
They're
as
everything
impressive
is.
as can be. And then all of a sudden,
Not so much.
Not so
there's
fast.
the Hoff sitting there.
But I do like the fact that this elk will live on through the consumption of him and his entire family. Like that it has served its purpose.
I feel
Well,
like
I
the whole
think-
neighborhood's going to get fed.
Yeah, there'd be a
I
lot.
hope we get a little elk.
Little taste?
I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
a little loin. What was
Yeah.
that? Weren't we just having like the rack
We had
of venison? We had a venison rack.
which would be deer.
Right, but
And
I
then we had-
imagine this would be that bigger.
Yeah.
Didn't you have? What did you
Think
have
about
the
how-
other day?
think about that.
What
That'd
was
be
the
an
bird you
unbelievable
were
lollipop.
eating the other day
Would
that
be.
he had?
The pheasant.
The
We had
pheasant.
pheasant. We've had
Who's
since
that?
he's
He's
been
got-
here.
He's got pheasant down there.
Yeah.
He's going.
Since we've had white wine rabbit sausage, water buffalo, wild boar, pheasant,
I feel like we're missing
venison.
something.
Yeah. He's not messing around.
No, water buffalo.
And all of them are delectable.
Yeah, the venison rack was.
Yeah, that was next level.
Yes.
Yeah. That was
So I'm
very,
just
very
in my mind imagining an elk rack would be that bigger.
Yeah, the elk steak.
I've had elk loins.
steak's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
There used to be a place in Chagrin Falls called Gamekeepers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's now
And
where JoJo's is now, and it was that's the whole menu was
Wild game.
wild game.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah. If you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
If you know what you're doing.
so be it. Be my recommendation.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's hit some over-unders.
What?
Last week was bad. And
It's not that bad.
It was bad.
I mean, it was bad for us. It was
right.
You didn't drown yourself. You went 2-3. Give a 3-2.
Gross.
So you are 5-6 now on the season. Gibbe is 6.
Yeah, Gibbe's one game up.
On the or 6-5 rather.
He's one game up.
No, 6-4, and you are
5-5.
You're 5-5. Yeah. Math, not a strong suit.
Private school.
All right, that's where I know. It's awfully both double private.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where all those big brains come from. I think you guys, in terms of last week, just a reminder, Deshaun, you both hit the over on that. The over/under on total offense, 249.5. He did it. Both you got the actual. Was over.
Didn't we both get wasn't there a Nick Chubb one?
That was, you guys both had it over 23.5 touches. Would have been.
I feel like
would have been.
Maybe an executive decision's made there.
Yeah, we did. We made one.
And give that to us.
Life's not fair to Nick Chubb. Life's not fair to you guys.
Fair.
If I said that, he would have hated it.
You say that,
he's like, fair. If I said that, he'd be like, that's not fair.
No, it is. Like, you try to get that changed on Monday.
You guys see that on, was it a couple of the betting sites were like, are giving money back on some of that stuff and some are not?
The Aaron Rodgers one was a big one.
Slippery.
Yeah, no, you can't. It just that's you. The risk is assumed.
The risk is assumed. I think so too. I think it's pretty slippery. So, all right, let's do it. Over or under?
Over, under.
All right, boys. We're looking for combined receiving yards. Combined receiving yards. We're going to go with Amari and Elijah, over under. Now, this is a bit of a trick here because Hopkins showed up on the thing, but it's Hopkins and Burks. So Hopkins and Burks, Amari and Elijah, over under. Gibbe.
I think our guy's over.
Yeah, our guys. No doubt.
Okay.
Like,
this is a bad pass defense. It better be our guys.
If it's the other way, is there a chance in hell?
Yeah, because that could end up being garbage time. Like we've blown them
That's
out
always
so
a tricky
badly.
thing with the over-unders. You never know how it's going to be accumulated.
That could be more indicative of a blowout than anything.
All right. Next!
Over, under.
All right, rushing yards. Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt. King Henry. Zagura. Both of ours, one of theirs.
I mean, their run defense over the last 17 games, I said, has been historic. They're giving up 65 yards a game on the ground. Derrick Henry in 2 games is averaging 71.5 yards per game on the ground.
Oh, baby. We're right on it.
boy, it's like someone knew that, putting that all together. God, Zagura, make a pick.
I'm gonna take Derrick Henry.
All right, under Zagura. Gibbe?
I am going under as well.
All right, King Henry for both of you.
I'm switching mine. Go Browns.
Oh my gosh, over.
It's fine.
All right,
I'm not.
Over, under.
Deshaun Watson, total offense. Total offense. Gibbe, the number we are looking for here is 285.5. 285.5.
This is the number. That's what it should have been. That's what I wrote down. 270.5. That's where I thought you were going to go there.
No, you're guys, you know what he was at last week? He was 240 throwing and another 25. I mean, that's
260.
He's right around 260, 270 last week. This is a terrible op. We don't have Nick Chubb. Come on. Come on.
I think it has to be over.
That's meager.
It's over.
285.5 is meager.
Over.
Over. Come on, dude. This is the week.
It's got to be.
72
Gotta be.
degrees.
That's
sunny,
throw for 260,
beautiful
run
day.
for 30.
Beautiful. How about throw
Come
for
on.
330?
Well,
and
that's what I
3.
would love. Like, let's live.
Let's throw for like 330 and 3.
Let's live and really
I like it.
stretch our legs a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that's what you hope for. Next!
Over, under.
So you guys both missed this one, the hook, unfortunately. You both had the sacks, interceptions, fumbles last week. You missed by a half. It was 4.5. We had 4 total on those.
I went back to my losing ways. 1 week.
Is a big one.
If Rodney
fellas.
McLeod could have just caught that ball,
Then you win.
Then we win.
It's tough when it hits you in the hands.
Tough.
Sorry, Rodney. Too easy. Sacks, interceptions, fumbles. We are looking for 5.5 of them. 5.5 of them. It's rare we get this high on this.
Whoa, no.
Six does it.
I'm
Six
gonna
does
go
it.
under. I think we're right where we probably were last week.
So right around 4?
Yeah, maybe 5. Maybe you can get to 5, but yeah.
So they're at 11 through 2 games, which is exactly 5.5.
Again.
That feels, though. Last
We
week,
got a research department here.
last week we would have been at 6, or last week would have been 5 under. The week before would have been 7 over because it's the picks, the 3 picks, or 6 over. I mean, it's a big number.
It is.
I feel like we could dominate their line, though. I'm gonna go over.
Oh my goodness gracious! Let's go next.
If mine come out right, it is slump city.
Slump City.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Daenerys with the dragon.
Yeah, it's all of it.
Loot train.
Loot train.
It's done.
Incinerated.
Yep. The actual. I got to tell you, I was surprised at how low it was last week. I'm equally surprised at how low it is this week. There is no respect given to our ability to score points, or a lot of respect given to our defense's ability to stop people. Either way, it is a rather meager for the second week in a row, 39.5.
Over.
Same.
Go. Sorry. I saw you making the motion. I thought you were going to go first.
No, that's all right.
Over. And our defense gets a score this week, too.
Oh, baby.
Throw that in there.
Oh, baby.
So first week against Cincinnati, it was 47.5.
I got the under.
You got
Yep.
the under. Last week it was 38.5. You
Over.
both got the over. This week 39.5 is where you stand on that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just game flow, man. What does it look like?
Last time we faced them, 41-35 was the final. It was 38-7 at the half.
Oh,
And then it was a little
2020,
tense.
COVID.
How did I don't remember. I have no recollection of that game.
We went out to big leads in like
Bombed the
4 or 5
DPJ
games.
like a 70. Let's see. Check the notes here. You had 2 catches for 92 yards, 75-yard touchdown to DPJ on that out and up. You had the bomb to Hollywood Higgins where Bake did the awesome like roll in to the red carpet.
Oh yeah,
shot on a little corner fade to
Yeah,
Higgins.
yeah.
There was we had a.
I feel
it
like
was
they
all.
had-
But they came back. I
Then
don't
they
remember
came
them
back.
coming back.
We
I remember
shut
us
it down.
looking great,
Yeah.
but I don't remember them coming back and making it that.
It was
interesting.
38-7 at the half. We
Did it
won
end up-
41-35.
And was it in doubt? Like
There was
It
you
got
needed
nervous.
to get a stop at the end.
wow. Yeah, I don't remember the comeback. I remember the big
The
lead.
smoke, yeah.
And then I remember obviously the game
like
vividly in
I want to say
2019.
Henry fumbled.
Here.
They turned it over like twice in the first quarter.
Yeah, and we played like a 5-man front on Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has not had a ton of success against us, which is good for us. Listen to these are his numbers in 4 career games against the Browns.
Yeah.
164 yards rushing, just 3.35 a carry, 1 touchdown, 6 catches, 115 yards, 75, which came on the longest catch of his career, which was his best game was 19 rushes, 84 yards, and a touchdown in 2019. So in the other 3 games, he's had 80 yards rushing against us. We've done a very good job against Derrick Henry. And our run defense this year has been excellent.
Enough from the clown says, lets
I
me know
know.
that he's rooting for slumping by Gibbe over Z because the show desperately needs a chesty Gibbe.
No, it doesn't. Look what happened last time.
Browns
we had
therapy
Chesty.
always has
I was
you as
chesty on Monday.
He was chesty on
that
Monday,
didn't
and
work
look
well.
how that went.
BT has
Not
you
so
as
chesty later
as
this
I
week.
Dream a Genie as well. So I believe that's what he has, which is pretty good. All right, we'll go behind enemy lines. Teresa Walker, the AP in Nashville, joining the show. Coming up next, you'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. For nearly a century, the Rumpke family has operated one of the nation's largest waste and recycling companies, providing top-level services to residential and commercial customers. That's Rumpke Waste and Recycling. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Now we head behind enemy lines on the Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea Hotline, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. It's a great friend of the program, Teresa Walker from the AP in Nashville, joining the program. Teresa, let's go big picture first. The offseason plan and this roster that was put together down in Tennessee, what was the objective juxtaposed to the rest of the talent dispersal in the AFC?
Well, think of it as kind of a NASCAR pit stop. At least that's what I think they've been trying to do. They fired Amy Adams-Strunk, fired John Robinson, the GM, last December when they were in the midst of a season-ending 7-game skid. The new GM, Rand Carthon, he came in from San Francisco and started, taking care of and getting rid of what Mike Vrabel calls a lot of, quote, repeat offenders, guys who had caused the Titans to have the most players used in each of the last 2 seasons because of injuries. So, gone. 3-time Pro Bowl left tackle Taylor Lewan. Right guard Nate Davis was allowed to leave. Ben Jones, veteran center, was a casualty cut. So, they have a completely rebuilt offensive line. And yet you've got Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, in the last year of their contracts this year. So they're still around, and they're trying to. I mean, it's the AFC South that they're in. I mean, you look around; they've got 2 teams with 2 rookie coaches and 2 rookie quarterbacks, and they can look at this and say, you know what, we lost 7 straight games, and we were 3 minutes away from still winning the AFC South. With that, they've got like 24 new players to this roster. So it's the NFL. If you can turn it over and keep some key pieces in place in this division, they've got to think that they can win. They have as much chance of winning as the Jacksonville Jaguars, maybe better, because a year ago they were. I think a year ago, the year that they used 91 players in 2021, they had the AFC's number 1 seed and 12-5 record. So they're trying to, essentially run it back.
They are trying to do that, and the familiar faces you mentioned, Henry, Tannehill. One of the new faces, DeAndre Hopkins, their leader in targets, receptions, and yards. We saw that he appeared kind of on the injury report yesterday. What can you tell us about DeAndre Hopkins' status?
Well, we're still waiting. The only player that has been declared out for Sunday's game is left guard Peter Skoronski. He was their number 1 first-round pick, 11th overall out of Northwestern. They plugged him into left guard, and that's where they've left him. Dylan Radins was off of the bench in the second quarter of last weekend's game because the guy they tried to replace Skoronski with, Xavier Newman, didn't fare so well. Gave up 2 sacks in that first quarter, including 1 on a 4th and 4 to turn the ball over on downs, where Dylan Radins tore his ACL December 18th, and he was back and able to finish that game. So he's likely the guy who will be at left guard. So DeAndre Hopkins, he didn't practice at all last week, and he played on Sunday against the Chargers. Now, he was only targeted 5 times, caught 4 of those, including a key 14-yard catch in overtime to set up the game-winning field goal. So let's put it this way. This is a 3-time All-Pro, a veteran. He knows how to be ready. He was limited on Thursday, added back to the practice or added to the injury report after, going on being full practice on Wednesday. So I'm expecting him to play on Sunday. Now, how many snaps, do they watch his pitch count, so to speak? Most likely, but this is a guy who's been around the league long enough. He knows how to be ready to go when it's time to kick it off.
It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, a lot of familiarity with our quarterback there with DeAndre Hopkins. When you look at this offensive line remade, Chris Hubbard, former Brown, Brunskill from the Niners, Andre Dillard didn't play much with the Eagles, but former first-round pick of the Eagles. What's this line? How's it fared so far through 2 games?
Well, they've given up 8 sacks. They gave up 5 last week to the Chargers. And, they have a new offensive coordinator, actually Tim Kelly, who was Deshaun Watson's coordinator in 2019 in Houston. And so there's a lot of familiarity, although Tim Kelly says he's too busy getting ready to face that Browns defense to share many tips on Deshaun Watson. And, the head coach, Mike Vrabel, he very much knows Deshaun Watson. He was there with him, crossed paths with him when he was coordinator of the Texans in 2017. So there's a lot of familiarity between these teams, having faced each other as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens on Sunday. But, the good news for the Titans, the defense going against Deshaun Watson, they're going to have safety Amani Hooker back. He's cleared the concussion protocol that kept him out of last week's game. Christian Fulton, I haven't seen the exact status report yet, but, he's a full practice the last 2 days with a hamstring that kept him out of last week. So the defense seems to be getting healthier. The offensive line, that's the thing. Tim Kelly, completely new offense. There's some things, of course, because Ryan Tannehill is a play-action quarterback, and they were very, very effective with that last week in their comeback against the Chargers. So with Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball, look for them to be getting that ball out quick. No, I don't think anybody in the NFL has more yards on passing on first down than the Titans, because they are he's getting that ball out fast. He's not working through a ton of progressions. It's giddy up and go and try to help protect this line as they kind of build the chemistry and come together, which certainly took a hit last week when they lost Skoronski.
Yeah, Teresa, you went through all of the kind of as they're mixing this roster from one that was number one in 2021 in terms of the AFC's number one seed to kind of what it is now and kind of a build-on-the-fly approach. They have several constants, but one of them is Mike Vrabel. What can you tell us about Mike that allows for – I mean, these teams are just competitive year in and year out. They're just so solidly coached. It feels like there's complete belief in him. What does he have as a coach that allows for what rarely happens, which is kind of a rebuild, breakdown, and then build-on-the-fly situation?
Part of it is the kind of person he is. He makes sure to make a connection with players. He gets into every meeting room, because he played linebacker for 14 years. People like to, label him a defensive coach. Well, he's also a guy who likes to attack because he's a defensive guy. He understands what an attacking offense can do, but he works his way around. He makes a connection with players. Chigakwonkwo, told a funny story in training camp about how last year when he was a rookie, Vrabel kind of ignored him, and now that he's into his second year, he can joke with Vrabel, and think about that, being able to be as a second-year player, being able to joke with your head coach, and he has that kind of open door. They feel like they can talk to him. And, they're in Cleveland, the story's been heard about how, Jim Schwartz, who's the coordinator there, and doing with that Browns defense what I saw him do with the Titans defense when he was here as coordinator, giving him a chance to stay in the game the last 2 years as a senior defensive assistant. We never got to talk to Jim when he was here in that role. They kind of kept it quiet what he did do, and then we find out that, Jim was working through a health issue, and Mike Vrabel and the Titans organization gave him a way to stay connected to the NFL while he got healthy again to go back and be a coordinator. And it's just that it's the human element. And then yet he's also a guy who is smart enough to, his first season, his second game, they lost the longest game ever played in the NFL down in Miami because of weather delays. They come back hosting the Houston Texans, trying to avoid an 0-2 hole to start a season, and yet they go deep into a playbook. They come up with what people here like to call the king cat, with Derrick Henry lining up under center. They did a fake punt on an early drive, and it went for 60 yards for a touchdown. So he's a guy who's not afraid to gamble, and because of the connection he has with his players, his coaches, they believe in him, and they will do and compete for him. In fact, one of the receivers posted an Instagram post from the weight room that if you don't feel like crap, and I'm paraphrasing there, then you're not working hard enough. So, it's hitting on all levels, pushing them as physically hard as they know, to that line without going over it, making the human connection. And guys, I'm just going to say this. Mike Vrabel's an Ohio native. He grew up rooting for the Browns. This game means a lot to him as a former Browns fan. So I'm really curious to see what kind of tricks they pull out, because I'm expecting something to come out of that playbook and that we haven't seen maybe in a few years. You may never have seen this team do that comes suddenly out of the book to try and pull this game out of, and put it in the win column.
Well, that will certainly be interesting to see as that unfolds at Cleveland Brown Stadium. I want to talk to you about this defense, and it feels like Simmons and Autry off to a great start. Harold Landry back, got his first sack of the season last week, and key that between those four, they can really get after the quarterback and be disruptive.
Oh, absolutely. And because of that, Tier Tart, an undrafted guy who they put a restricted free agent tag on this year, he kind of quietly gets ignored, and he's a guy who can sometimes take up double teams as well. So you have to account for everybody on that line, because if you don't, you're going to get in trouble. Jeffrey Simmons, I think by the end of this season, is going to be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year because of the help that he's got around him. Arden Key is a guy that, they got him from Jacksonville, and they're letting him be a starter, and he is being very, very disruptive getting to the quarterback. Jeff Simmons, he's a guy who faced, at one point, there was a stat in the final game last year showing he faced the second most double teams in the league last year. And I'm betting Aaron Donald was ahead of him in that category. If you don't take advantage, if you don't take an account for each of those guys, you're going to be in trouble. And then the new GM, two of the pieces that have been switched out, inside linebacker, David Long was a guy, a repeat offender, was allowed to walk. He's now playing in Miami. Aziz Al-Sher is somebody that Rand Carthon brought here as a free agent from San Francisco. He is fast, and he is making an impact as well. And then Jack Gibbons is a guy, an undrafted free agent they sent him home to Texas a year ago as a rookie, brought him back a week later, and then this offseason he earned the other inside starting linebacker job. So he's got size, he's got speed. They nicknamed him Dr. Gibby because of how smart he is. So this whole front seven, if you're not paying attention, you're going to get in trouble. And in the secondary guys, two-time All-Pro Kevin Byard anchors that group. He's led this defense in tackles and interceptions each of the last two seasons. So this is a defense. They were first against the run last year. Now they were last against the pass because they made teams one-dimensional, and yes, they completed a lot of passes against teams. That's an area that they're working to clean up this year, giving up the explosive plays. And because they know that Deshaun Watson, if you let him run around too much, he'll throw the ball deep downfield. They know what to expect out of this game Sunday.
Yeah, and Teresa, we have our own Dr. Gibbe right here, our producer on this great program. But you mentioned the passing, you kind of touched on it. What do you think, is the issue with it, in the sense that is it because teams just give up on the run and they say we're just going to throw the ball on the Titans? Because they've had some success certainly through the year. Both first 2 weeks, both quarterbacks hit 305 yards.
Well, absolutely. That's the thing. When you make a team one-dimensional, that other dimension is going to be the pass. Last week they were missing two starters in the secondary. As I mentioned, injuries have been a huge problem in the last 2 years. Well, that last year the secondary was really hit hard. Christian Fulton, was called out as a repeat offender because of hamstring issues that cost him way too many games. It's the reason why they went out and got Sean Murphy-Bunting, a veteran, to come in and be a starter. But Roger McCreary is a guy that they took in the second round last year out of Auburn. He is really growing, blossoming, and turning into a shutdown kind of cornerback, whether he's playing in the slot or on the outside. So I think they're going to have a chance to get that number improved. But exactly, teams are attacking them through the air because it's really, really tough to run on the Tennessee Titans.
Teresa, what's your feeling on this one on Sunday? This is a huge one from the Cleveland perspective, obviously, one they've got to get if they're trying to be everything that they think. It's important for both. Where do you kind of see this one going on Sunday?
Well, two things. When you lose a player of Nick Chubb's caliber, it can give a team something to bond on. But on the other side, this game means a lot for the Titans as well because they just snapped an 8-game skid that dated back to last season. So they're looking to try and get on a streak and start putting some wins together because, they come back home next week. They finish their tour of Ohio hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. Then they've got to go to Indianapolis, then they go to London to play the Ravens. They need this game very much as well. So, and with that Mike Vrabel Ohio connection, guys, the Titans are 2-0 against the spread, and they've been underdogs each of these first two games. I think they're going to have a chance to win this game because it feels like, most importantly, the offense feels like it's starting to come together. New coordinators, some tweaks to this offense, a lot of new faces on that side of the ball. Traylon Burks is a guy who had a 70-yarder last week. And, Ryan Tannehill, he's able to run this year. He was limited last year with his mobility. That factor, Tyjae Spears is a rookie out of Tulane. I just got a feeling that they're going to have a chance to put up some points against this Browns defense. And Mike Vrabel, he's going to pull something out of the hat that gives them an edge.
Teresa, great stuff as always. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time greatly.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, that's Teresa Walker, the AP in Nashville, on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Our keys to victory coming up next. This is the Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Does your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Enter the dog race sweepstakes presented by Milkbone for a chance to have your pup compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/contest to enter. Check out more from Milkbone at your local grocer and pet supply store. Time for keys to beating the Tennessee Titans, of which Teresa Walker thinks we're going to need a lot of these keys. Dr. Z!
Yeah, she sure does. That was wow. Just a barnstorming performance in the
Look, it's a lot of
There's a
Vrabel.
lot of joy in Tennessee. I didn't realize that they were so high on the
They like where they're at. They've competed. They've
No
covered
doubt.
twice.
This is not easy.
No.
The Browns are better than them, but this won't be easy. It's never easy when you're taking on that team. Mike Vrabel and Titans, they are tough. Now, Kevin Stefanski in his career 1-0 against the Titans, and Vrabel 6-0 against the AFC South. So we hope to keep that going. All right, when they have the football, very similar to last week. Stop Derrick Henry on early downs. Be ready for the quick game on early downs. And also you got to be cognizant of the shot plays. But the whole goal here is to get them in 3rd and longs. Drop back passing situations. If you can do that, you will have a lot of success. Number 1, their offensive line is not good. Number 2, on a 3rd and long, the plays take a little bit longer to develop to get the ball out. And so that's what you want to do. When he is in a play-action game, he's averaging 12.3 yards per attempt this year, Ryan Tannehill. In the drop-back game, 5.4 yards per attempt, 59 rating. That is going to be so important to get them into those 3rd and longs and do it. Keep this defense playing at the level it is. Starts with stopping Derrick Henry. You got to be very careful for Treylon Burks on the verticals. He's got 3 career receptions of more than 50 yards. That is 4th in the NFL since he came into the league last season. Last week had a 70-yarder. They had a 49-yarder to Chris Moore. We have to watch out for those big plays. But I really think we should dominate the line of scrimmage against this team. Absolutely dominate them. Dillard, he's already given up 3 sacks this season, 9 pressures. They're out their starting left tackle, was their first rounder. The center has struggled already this year. The right guard is probably their best offensive lineman, Daniel Brunskill. And then there's Chris Hubbard, who's a very solid player, but you got to feel like I like Za'Darius or Myles Garrett in those matchups. So that's where you are when they've got the ball. And then when we've got the ball, it starts with very simple. Don't turn the ball over. The Browns are 13-2 under Kevin Stefanski when they do not turn the football over. So don't do it. Don't turn it over. This is going to be a tough team to run against. No running back's been over 50 yards against them this year, 2.6 yards a carry. This is going to be a game for Deshaun Watson. This is Deshaun Watson against the team that he has lit up in his career. 17 touchdowns, 73% completions, 291 yards a game, 9 yards an attempt, in addition to 208 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. 5 games out of 6 against Titans, a quarterback rating of about 100 or better. Never had a rating below 92 against this football team. Let's go. By the way, when he has a 100 rating, as he did in the game against Washington, we win. That's the only time. 1 out of 8. He did it every week in Houston, it seemed like. This is going to be critical. Get the ball out. Let the layups be layups. Our wide receivers should have a field day. This should be a big day for Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. And I expect this team to be very good. But to me, it's going to come down to giving him time against a very good front of Simmons and Autry and Key and Landry, and then him executing this game plan. We should be able to throw the football on the Tennessee Titans. That's going to be the key, and you have got to take care of the football. Period. Full stop. That's the number 1 key.
I don't know. I guess just for me, I have nothing to back this up other than just feel. I think I'll know in the first drive.
I think you'll know by the end of the first quarter. I think you'll know
after a couple
of
You're going to know
Yep.
if it's,
Yep.
And the other thing is, and if you're down there Sunday, that place can get nervy if it doesn't go right early.
Of course. I do think you want to get
exercise
off to a good start.
Of course we do,
Yes.
but if you don't right away, exercise a little patience. Like a football game is a living organism. Let it breathe a little bit. Don't turn on it right away if it doesn't go right away. Because that can flip. It can flip a stadium, and they're going to need whatever Vrabel's best is. You're getting it. You're getting it Sunday.
You're going to get it.
They'll be prepared.
We should be able to answer it,
and you should be able to answer it because you are the better team. It's quite frankly not close.
Yes,
even with the loss of Nick Chubb, you are the better team. Friday forecast presented by Carrier. Carrier, turn to the experts. It's a high of 72. It's perfect. Partly sunny at Cleveland Browns Stadium on Sunday. Coming up next, a little segment we like to call Pay Attention to the Scores.
The scores.
Oh, mama. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850, ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into the program. Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet. Time for the scores. Hello, Gibby.
You ready for this?
Yeah,
What did we do last week?
pretty good.
I mean, you did really well week 1.
That's never going to happen again.
Correct.
In the
But
history
managing
of this
expectations.
program, where we have finished many seasons, many games, a great many games over 500, picking the scores correctly. I don't
Yes.
know that we've ever seen a 14-2.
No.
And
No.
you will never
No.
again. Like, just you're not going. That's just not going to.
You never know. You can do it again.
You could do it. You're due, baby. You're ready.
I'm
Ready?
cruising right
You're
along.
crushing
right where
it.
I should be.
No, I know,
We're
but like
over 500.
It's
You're
not going to be me
14
again.
over
Public school kid, barely
You
getting
never
by.
know.
Not
You
going to be
never
me.
know. You never
Hey,
know.
It's going to be a private
I
school.
I don't count you out.
Real quick, before
Yeah.
we get into what we did last week, maybe someone missed it earlier, but Nicholas Lucarelli tweets, asking for the YouTube watchers, can Ethan explain why he's wearing historically Titans blue on the week we play them? It's not Titans
It's not
blue.
Titans blue.
not
It's
Titans blue,
royal.
no.
If anything, that is as royal a blue as can be.
Yeah.
If anything, it's Rams blue. If anything,
I would say, yeah.
it's
yeah.
a nice juxtaposition to the orange.
That's right.
You're safe.
Safe. And I got
Safe.
the blue and the orange on the shoes. Tie it all together.
One of the most things that drove me the most nuts when Urban was at Ohio State is he wouldn't let like NFL scouts wear blue in the facility. So if they came in blue, he would give them like a Buckeye hoodie or quarter zip or whatever. So I guess they got free swag out of it.
Yeah.
But it was so ridiculous. Like not every blue is Michigan.
Correct.
Their color is navy.
Right.
They're not royal. It's not light blue. It's not periwinkle. It's navy.
A little peek behind the curtain as well. If you wear a certain color orange behind that wall, all you end up seeing is your head.
That's true.
I did that.
Did you really?
I've been a subject of that. Do you remember that, Z?
Oh, I remember it. Just floating head Gibby.
I literally had arms and a head, and
I
that
had
was
it.
it.
First television
The shirt
station I
blended
worked,
right.
second television station I worked with in Tallahassee. They had for sports. I had to stand in almost every television station. It's a green screen, right? So you can't wear green, otherwise you see through. Weather guys, for example, it's up against. They call it a green screen, so you
Yes.
can broadcast up against it, but you can't wear green. The station in Tallahassee, they used blue, so you couldn't wear blue. I'm like, you do realize you are eliminating the best color to wear on television.
Yep.
Like blue ties, blue suits, all that wins. You're eliminating all of that.
Yeah.
If you just paint that green, you don't have the problem.
Don't have the problem.
No one is going to clamor to wear green suits
No.
unless you're at Notre Dame this weekend. Nobody else is.
Nobody else.
Come on.
Bobby Meschling, by the way, says Z is obviously Jerry, Gibbe is Newman, Bo is George. I would disagree.
I think it's. I mean, you're definitely Newman.
Newman is
I am
Give
not
it.
Newman.
Well, you're not Newman,
I'm
not in
happy
terms
to
of
be
like
George.
Hello,
Well, no,
Newman.
you're
Newman. Newman antagonizes
I think it's
Jerry.
I think. Well, I think it's a melding of anything. I think it's a melding of characters. I think if anything, like you've got a lot of the Kramer
That's
tendencies.
exactly where I was going. And
You
not
love
in
to
a
golf
bad way.
like him.
I love to golf.
You're living in your world, like
Doing
it's
my thing.
doing your thing, man.
Yeah.
Like Cosmo lived the best life ever of all of them. He's living his
Correct.
best.
That's why I'm saying I feel like
I
there's
could
a
probably
good chunk
be
of
a-
Kramer that is in Z.
I could.
Yeah, I'm a little Kramer.
I have the annoyances that Costanza has for sure, but I probably also have a little of the Jerry tendencies. Yeah. So you need to kind of meld a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm a Jerry Kramer
Yeah.
combo.
Yeah. I guarantee you, like 20-year-old you was Cosmo Kramer, baby.
He's like
What'd I do?
You also have a little J. Peterman. A little Peterman.
Little J. Peterman
Yeah,
catalog.
catalog.
Little J. Peterman catalog.
Gibbe's got a little Banya in him.
I am not
The
ban
Ogle.
A little Banya. Oh yeah.
What's the deal with Ogilvy?
What's the deal with grape nuts?
Try the soup, Jerry.
Yeah, he's so good. Mendy's. He loved Mendy's.
Mendy's.
I haven't seen those shows in a long time.
He's
I
also
wonder-
the mean soup guy a little bit.
yeah, for sure.
I'm definitely a soup Nazi.
There's no question that you got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No super.
No,
Yep.
No soup.
Get out.
Yep.
What I do.
And we love a good mulligatawny.
Love a mulligatawny.
Yeah.
Fine soup.
All right. Scores record last week.
9-7 for both of us.
Woo.
So combined 18 games over 500, 14 of which are
Fantastic.
Our bows.
Great job.
Yep.
Killing
Love it.
Killing it.
Away we go on a Sunday, week 3 in the National Football League, and we kick things off. Oh, nice little matchup in the NFC. The 1-1 Detroit Lions. Tough loss for them last week. Back in action and playing host to the 2-0 Atlanta Falcons. Zagura, kick us off.
One team coming off of an emotional win at the end, one team coming off an emotional loss at the end. But I think the Detroit Lions are just better than the Atlanta Falcons. I think that when you go and you're going to try to run the ball all over Dan Campbell, I don't think he's going to have that. He's going to be biting kneecaps. No. I like the Lions in this one. I think the Lions can be in trouble against a team that has a lot of weapons to throw the ball to. Now, Atlanta does have weapons. They don't necessarily have the quarterback to throw or the willingness to throw the ball. So I like the Lions in this one. Lions 98, Falcons -6.
I think it's Slump City too. I like Detroit. Goff's been amazing. The one pick six last week, but it's been really, really good. They got a lot of that's going to be an interesting team. Be curious with running back. It sounds like that if Montgomery can't go, that Gibbs' role will stay the same.
Craig Reynolds
will go in. Yep. So keep an eye on that. But either way, I like Detroit. Pickup. I like them 31-17.
Up next, well, I feel like this week we start to figure out maybe who some of these teams are. But, Atlanta's 2-0. Next up, team that I picked to go to the playoffs.
You did.
Ride or die. The Commies. The Washington Commanders playing host to the 1-1 Buffalo Bills, Bo Bishop.
Yeah, Buffalo's a different team at home for sure, and it's the hook on this is kind of interesting. This feels a lot like Sammy at the back door is what it feels like to me. I like Buffalo winning the game closer than the experts think, 27-21.
Safe. Onward we go. It's a weird week in the National Football League.
My gosh. Some of these scores are crazy.
There are some
you
real
rarely get
duds,
this.
especially late in the day.
Yeah.
Get all your watching in at the 1 o'clock hour.
Good day to go to a fall fest.
Well, after 4 o'clock it is.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Watch our win and then head out.
Yep. The Denver Broncos are 0-2. They're trying to get their first win. To South Beach they go to take on the 2-0 Miami Dolphins, Nathan Ziegler.
Broncos country.
Let's ride.
I don't know. They blew a game. They were up 21-3 and lose
two home games to start
and
the year.
lose
0-2
to Washington. Miami's the hottest team in the league. It's a lot of points. I feel like it's open for the back door for Russell Wilson, but no. They're gonna slam that shut. Tua, ram it.
Tua I saw Sam Monson with this stat this week that was really interesting. He has the largest average attempted throw. In terms of longest of yards covered, but also the deepest drop. Do I have that right? Deepest drop back? Fastest release. Fastest release and furthest attempted pass in the league. Those two things usually don't marry. The only way it works is if you have lightning fast speed on the perimeter, which they do, and an incredibly anticipatory thrower at quarterback.
Yes.
So that's how it works. They're good. Samesies.
Up next in the AFC South, it is Jacksonville. Not sure what to make of them. Really good first week. Last week, not sure what happened there. Offensively, not great. Not a great game against the Kansas City Chiefs. They try to get back on track against the 0-2 Houston Texans. Bishop.
Jacksonville's 100% winning the game. It's not a shadow of doubt. The question just becomes, can Tennessee muster nonsense or Texans muster nonsense as it goes along? Last week, I had faith that they would. It did not go well. They did not.
No, they did not.
I am not making that same mistake again. Give me Jacksonville 31-20. Although C.J. Stroud's been pretty good.
C.J. Stroud has been pretty good. I feel like
rookie quarterbacks, he's been pretty clean.
I feel like there are two games here with the opportunity to get in there. I think they play tough. I think the Jags do win. I think they have 31, but I think Houston gets to 24.
Oh, gosh.
Interesting. More fun in the AFC. Again, not a great slate here for Week 3 in the National Football League. The Indianapolis Colts without their rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson.
Oh, boy. The scores. How about it?
How about that?
Indianapolis visiting the Ratbirds. 2-0 Ravens. Zagora.
Minshew, jorts, beard, mustache, backdoor, all of it. I think that it's a lock that he gets inside of that number. Ultimately, Ravens win this game 79-77.
I just was trying to think, I watched Baltimore a lot last week.
Yep.
Watched them in week 1. The idea that they're just going to run away, they're not running away from anybody. They're off to a nice start. They're 2-0, but they've had the easiest schedule in the league. They benefited with the unhealth of Cincinnati. That's a quality win, obviously, in Cincinnati. That's big. But who's else? They played Houston week 1. Now they get Indy. This is Minshew mania. In fact, I feel more comfortable with this with Minshew than I do if it was Richardson.
Agreed.
Yeah, I like Baltimore as well, but by 31-24.
Oh, baby.
There you go. Of all the remaining 0-2 teams, 2 of the top 3 in that group square off against each other. Someone will be 0-3, someone will be 1-2 unless they tie. The Los Angeles Chargers come east to the Midwest, otherwise known as Minnesota. And the Vikings 0-2, Chargers 0-2, Bishop. Staley better win this
Minnesota has been better than their record would indicate. They have had some of the worst turnovers at the most inopportune times, both in Philly and in the opener against Tampa Bay. It feels to me like the Chargers, despite all of the talent, might just be bad. They do not play to the sum of their parts. At home,
they lost 2 close games. They lost close to Miami.
But Tennessee's not good, and they were home against Miami. I just don't know that there's any belief in that operation there. Captain Kirk at home. You like that? Vikings, 77. Chargers, 75.
Got to be a problem for Staley on that plane ride home.
The Chargers secondary right now is dreadful. And if you can throw the football on the Chargers, you're going to be able to score. Guess what the Vikings do as well as anybody in the league? They can throw the football. I'm with you here. I got the Vikings in this one as well. It pains me to say it, but I think it's the best thing for Justin Herbert to get it out of the way. They got to move on from Staley and right that ship. Now, on the other side, you know what? I'm sticking with it. I do think it's interesting if the Vikings do lose and Rob Gronkowski turns out to be prescient about what happens.
That'd be crazy if it was that simple.
It'd be awesome.
All right. Up next.
I don't want Kirk Cousins in the AFC, by the way, quarterbacking the Jets.
No.
Me neither.
No.
Come on, Kwesi. Keep going.
No.
Keep the fight, baby.
Jim Nantz has to be asking who he ticked off at CBS because he has yet to have a good game, and this one's not going to be any different. Nothing like putting the CBS A-team again at just a garbage game. Let me introduce you to the New England Patriots visiting the New York Football Jets.
Awful.
Zagora. Why are they not doing our game?
It's just automatically not the Jets. So whoever else is out there, that's who's going to get it. In this case, it's the Patriots. Gross. They'll
beat a pick 6 from Wilson.
Yeah.
Samesies.
Patriots ram it.
To the NFC we go. The New Orleans Saints are 2-0 on the football season. There are 3 teams in the NFC South that are 2-0. The Saints being one of them. A trip to Lambeau Field in store for New Orleans this weekend. The Packers 1-1, a tough loss in Week 2 after an impressive Week 1 victory over the Bears. Bishop.
I was just curious to see where Christian Watson is.
Not playing
again.
He's down again?
Yeah, it's just like it's so annoying. And it happened the first week of practice.
I know it. New Orleans was dreadful on Monday Night Football. Nobody watched it because they were watching our game. They were very, very disappointing. I like Green Bay at home 8-4.
Leading runners at the corners with
What is Green Bay?
I don't know.
The guy at the plate.
What are they?
I don't know.
At least I feel comfortable with some of the talent that's on the Saints. I feel comfortable with their defense is playing at a high level. I don't know what Green Bay is. Green Bay is going to win this game. Oh, yes. They're going to score 178 points.
Oh, boy.
Sweet.
But the Saints are going to score 177.
Oh, my gosh. What a barn burner.
It's going to be fun.
It'll wrap up Monday morning.
It'll be like a Madden game.
It's like when the boys play Madden and they put it on. They play like forever long quarters, and then they did like on rookie.
Oh, yeah.
Every play.
Yeah.
Dude, well,
Justin Jefferson at 700 yards receiving. Okay.
Sounds like my nephew.
Great.
He's like, I'm winning 52-0. I go, what level is that on?
Yeah. So now all I do is I've told you guys I just call them like Sopranos characters.
Yeah.
So now I'll just go, you're such a loser, Bumpancero. Galtieri, such a loser. Don't be a loser. It's fun.
All right, so there's 4 games left on the Sunday, and my recommendation is to go do something outside, go enjoy the day, go enjoy the evening, go find anything to do other than watch any of these 4 games. We'll kick it off with Carolina visiting Seattle. Let's see. Zagura, you're up.
I think Seattle ram it. I think it is ram it.
Same.
The next one, Chiefs ram it.
Same.
The next one,
what would
Dallas,
be the number?
ram it.
What would be the number for what's your number on
Chiefs, Bears.
21.
Bears going
Chiefs.
to Arrowhead.
21 and a half?
21 and a half. I'd take it for sure.
Yeah, it's beat down city.
By the way, it is almost impossible that both the Chiefs and the Cowboys will.
To that end,
Match.
Josh Dobbs, nonsensical nonsense. I got Arizona, huge. Cowboys 31, Arizona 20. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that does it.
Your
It
4
does.
o'clock.
Well,
your
yeah,
4
it does.
o'clock games. Carolina,
31-20 gets me it.
Yeah.
Gets me the score.
with
Arizona. Pay attention to the scores.
yeah, I am.
Dallas 31, Arizona 20.
Oh, 31. I'm sorry.
31.
33.
No.
My
30
brain
it's
failed.
okay.
My
It's
brain
all right.
failed. You're good.
Yeah, safe.
That does.
Yeah. 4 o'clock games: Seattle, Carolina, Kansas City, Chicago, Dallas, Arizona. Hot garbage. Go find something to do.
Brutal.
outside.
It's rarely you see that, like a late afternoon where there's not one
Not
that
one.
Not
you
one
want to
good
watch.
game.
Yeah.
No.
That takes us to Monday night or Sunday night. Sorry, Monday night is Monday. Doubleheader. Sunday night foosball. The Pittsburgh Squealers visiting the Las Vegas Raiders.
I don't think Pittsburgh's good. I don't.
I don't think either one of these guys are good.
No, but Garoppolo should take care of the football to some degree.
Protect it.
That's all you got to do.
How did they get drilled the way they got drilled at Buffalo? Like 38-10.
Buffalo just kind of put it on them. I don't know. Outdoors, Garoppolo better maybe in good weather. Indoors,
It's going to be a Steeler home game
it is
in Vegas.
in Vegas.
I'm with you, though. I think the Steelers suck.
I don't think they're
I know they beat us,
great.
and that comes across crazy, but like, if
Why
you watch
we
the games,
we turned the ball over 4 times, scored 2 defensive touchdowns. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to win when
Yeah.
that happens.
I like Vegas.
I like Vegas as well. Vegas 6, Steelers 1.
Same. All right, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. So much more to come, including our score, a Buckeye score with the Irish as well. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. I like the Buckeyes tomorrow.
You do.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, good quarterback over there in Sam Hartman. Kid's making his 53rd start, transfer out of Wake Forest. He's the all-time leading passer in the Atlantic Coast Conference. It's his 5th year. He's played 4 full college seasons, but because of COVID, he got a free 5th year, so he's doing it at Notre Dame. He's really good.
When do we stop with the COVID years?
When you are done with kids who were in college in 2020.
We just have to wait? Because
you
there's
gotta
like
wait
kids
that
that have
through.
been,
Yeah,
I feel like their
same.
7th season.
Yeah. There is.
It's
There's
coming
a
to
Kid
an
at
end.
Florida State.
Yeah, it is.
quarterback.
It's finite. There will come a point where there are people who no longer
Next
were in
year,
college
I
in
That would be
2020. But that's it. I think they're going to have a really hard time blocking the interior of the Buckeyes' defensive line. I think it just depends on how Ryan Day coaches it. Does he play it really? If he's aggressive like he was against Georgia, I think he had a chance to run away a little bit. But I think it's will be a 2-score game, like 35-24 or something like that.
Love it
for the Bucks. As for our game, Dr. Z. Well, before we do that, I should tell you that 9 a.m., Browns game day, Ken and Gerard. 11 a.m., Browns kickoff, Andy and Tyvis. 1 o'clock, Chris Rose, Z, and Gerard, with, of course, all good thoughts headed to the Voice for that one. All right, us, Titans.
Got to do it. Got to do it. I think we will do it, and I like it. 27-17 Browns.
If it doesn't go our way, I won't be here Monday. I'm out.
Oh, yeah, you will.
No,
We're
I'm
in this together.
No, I'm out. Can't do it. Can't do it. You've been given my notice.
Look at him try to wrangle you right there, and you were.
My notice has been given.
It's too. I don't think.
Act accordingly. You're better. You're better on defense. You got the better quarterback. You've got the weapons. Block it. Do it. Don't turn the ball over. It's enough.
So you've made this now. You have made this a loser leaves town match.
So loser
One
leaves
minute,
town.
1 minute.
Loser leaves town. Either the Tennessee Titans leave town or I do.
Oh, you'll be here.
I'm going straight to Santa Fe, putting down roots. OFs will be up and running in a month. You guys are welcome to join me.
I'm in.
I'm out.
On that note, I'm in.
You know that's our venture.
Well, as I said, you're welcome to join. Love to have you.
We're
Come
gonna
on,
get a
let's
jump
just
start
do
on
the
it.
right thing. Can we
Yes.
just do
30,
it? Like just
30.
Shelby
it's
Harris,
enough.
do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Whip them. Act accordingly a little bit here, kids.
Yep.
All right. The next level's coming up next. We may be back. You'll for sure be back Monday. I may be.
I hope so.
Loser
I love you.
leaves town. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.